and once again, the journey continues. Nowadays, everybody wants to talk when they got something to say. In the spectrum of validity, it's more opinion than facts that wants to be spoken. Opinion seems important to the person with the opinion. However, facts are valuable to the masses. As a young teen, I believe my opinion is valid all the time, every single moment. I may have wanted everyone to agree with me where I had this opinion. And in fact, most of the time, it was just me having a whim, but with no credibility. I had the biggest opinion and nothing to really back it up. You know, when you are young, you find yourself learning quite a bit of things, and you, for example, think that you are expert at it. And that's where I was as a young teen, just opinionated with no validity, with no credibility. And due to me disliking to read, which I thought was a time-consuming practice, I thought that it did not add any value, and I thought to myself, I read enough at school, so I think I read enough for the day. And when you get home from school, you got homework to do, and you're reading again. And to me, that was enough reading. Like, I definitely didn't need to read anymore. Only to discover later, a lot later, that this thing called reading would change my life forever. This thing called reading would be the underbelly for the way I think and for the way I speak. So as a young teen, I disliked the way I spoke. I did not speak the way I currently speak. I was in a space where colloquial language or slang was the order of the day, and I was proficient in this. And we all know that when you hear someone speaking slang, sometimes it does not make sense. Sometimes you're like wondering what are they talking about. And then I thought to myself one day, if I want to do something outside of where I am positioned or situated, I might need to speak a bit differently so that those that I'm speaking to can understand me. And then I started going on this journey where I discovered that I actually love reading. More to that, I love learning. And this came to me when I was in university. So, you know, when you're in university, you're like ready to go because it's all about you got accepted, you are starting first year, and it is just great. It feels like summer times all around. And for me, it was just that. I was in this bliss of being in university. And in the learning, right, of getting into the swing of things at university, I thought that, whoa, reading is not just like I thought it was, but you have to read these 1,000-page books, textbooks, and you have 7 subjects that you're doing at one time, and it got crazy. And then I was like, but I don't like reading, so how am I gonna combat this thing? So I had to change my perspective to that reading is not just time consuming. Reading is not just something that you do to if you are bored, but reading really adds value to the way you think. and to the way you speak. Reading adds value to even the way you learn. And this is where I found myself. So I got this desire to learn about investing, and I just went for it. I didn't study investments, I was studying accounting. As we know, there's a relatively big difference between the two. There are some overlaps, but I just wanted to learn about investing, how investments happen, why are some people wealthy and why are some people not, and how do we sort of bring this thing together? How do we get from being not wealthy or doing well, but to the point of wealth? And the amount of reading that I had to go through really changed my life, because this is not a reading that was enforced on me. This is reading that I decided, a reading that I wanted to go through. And this was really the tipping point for me, in the sense that on the journey, in the process of learning about investments, I had to learn new words, I had to learn new phrases. And this got me to the point where I'm now able to learn to speak a bit differently. And in that, I got this desire to learn about words. And every new word that I learned, I would write it down in a book, and I would research it, and I would learn it, and then I would add it to my speaking or add it to my conversation when I could. So I'd look for the opportunities to add this into conversations. And even last year, a word that I learned for the first time was the word propensity. And as young people, we do not have the propensity to read, or the propensity to love learning, because we are in this state of opinion. Like, we learn something very quickly and we automatically have this huge opinion about it, and we negate the fact that there's been people that has studied this area that we are in now, that have years of experience, years of reading, years of research in this particular area, and we now have the biggest opinion, and our opinion is more valid than all the years of experience. So that was the sort of space I was in. And even when it comes to accounting, I thought I was great at high school, and I come to realize I wasn't that great. But when I got to university, I had this opinion that I know what to do, I know how things work, but I was greatly surprised that I had so much more to learn. And this is really the thing about Ready, Set, Speak 2.0, in that we need to be ready and set to speak, but there's a prelude to speaking, is in that we need to understand that we do not necessarily need to speak when we merely have an opinion. And I'm not saying don't have a stance, I'm not saying don't be bold, I'm not saying don't have an opinion, but what I am saying is we need to think bigger. We need to maybe have our opinion be backed by facts, so that we can truly add value in whatever it is that we're saying. And this topic today really speaks to that adding value where you don't think you can really add value. Adding value where you're not in the position of adding huge value, but adding value in just the way that you speak. So in this journey, in this learning that I was going through in university, I found myself going through different iterations of learning and considering different ways of speaking, considering that I need to debunk a certain thing and pick up something that's going to add value when I'm speaking to someone. So when I was at university and learning about investing, everyone that I really spoke to, even some of the students that I was studying with, I would share this opinion that I had but that was backed by facts in ways of investing and certain investments that I learned about, and would sort of share what I learned and how it can potentially add value. And my word, I realized that I'm not the only person that likes learning. And that is why I'm so huge on this thing of reading. Reading to learn and reading to understand. So I love having a library and I love books. I'm I have this fetish for books that every opportunity I have to buy a book, I get myself a book. And reading really influences your way of speaking and your way of thinking. So much so that in my journey of studying, I realized that when you study, or when I was studying, it was not so much what I was learning that I was intrigued by and learning to know certain things. But what was more intriguing for me was that as I was learning, as I was going on this journey, I realized how much more that I don't know versus how much I am actually increasing in learning or increasing in knowing. So, regardless of how much you are learning at any particular time in your life, I believe that the tipping point comes when you realize how much more you still need to learn. And this is really the fact that I want to bring forth in this episode, is that when we understand how much we don't know or how much more we need to learn, this really increases our desire and this fire to learn more, to engage more, to get into a space where you can come in low and you can absorb as much learnings and opportunity as possible. Because we are all on this journey, we're always wanting to grow, we always want to become better. And I believe that this is one of the key factors in that, when you want to get to the next level, is having this burning desire to want to learn more, but also at the same time coming into a space and not giving your opinion at any or at every particular moment you can, but really coming into a space where you can absorb, you can take the learnings, and once you have learned or once you have gathered all the information in that room, you can then decipher or come up with an opinion that can potentially add value to those who you're going to speak to and those who you're going to meet with next. A very powerful statement that I learned, that I heard, is that great is the one who is able to hold his or her opinion and appreciate the wisdom of good counsel. Having something to say seems awesome to you does not necessarily add value. So having something awesome to say, having something great to say, does not necessarily add value. But understanding what it is in context, having the facts in place, and understanding what you want to say really then adds value. So thank you for listening to this episode of Dee-Boor by Andrew James Stewart. I am living my dream, and I hope you decide to live your dream too. We'll see you on the next episode in 1 week's time.